project communication management. So project communication management will have 3 processes. We'll see which are those in a moment. What is project communication management? In project communication management, it includes the processes that are required to ensure timely and appropriate planning, collection, creation, distribution, storage, retrieval, management, control, monitoring, and the ultimate disposition of project information. So that's what project communication management involves. So right from planning to disposition of project information and monitoring. So in between all the steps. So the communication activities involved in these processes may often have many potential dimensions that needs to be considered, including but not limited to, so internal, within project, external, with customer, vendor, other project, organization, public, formal, report, minutes, briefing, and informal emails, memos, vertical, up and down the organization, like your superior or your subordinate, horizontal with your peers, official newsletter, annual report, unofficial off the record communication, written and oral, verbal and non-oral. So these are the kind of communication activities involved in these processes. So most communication skills are common for both general management and project management. Listening actively and effectively, questioning and probing ideas and situation to ensure better understanding. Educating to increase team's knowledge so that they can be more effective. Fact-finding to identify or confirm information. Setting and managing expectation. Persuading a person, a team, or an organization to perform an action. Motivating to provide encouragement and reassurance. Coaching to improve performance and achieve desired results. Negotiating to achieve mutually acceptable agreements between parties. Resolving conflict to prevent disruptive impacts. Summarizing, recapping, and identifying the next steps. So these are the all activities which come under communication skills. Setting, managing. I think these are good slide in terms of even coaching also to improve the performance of the team. So plan communication management. The reason for planning communication is to determine and answer 4 fundamental project management questions. Who need what information, when they need it, what kind of mode we will use, who will provide the information. So this is from stakeholder, customer or anybody. So what time, what kind of communication they need, whether it will be paper based or email and so on. And before that you'll have to gather the information. So those are 4 important. So inputs for plan communication management: your project management plan, your stakeholder register, enterprise environmental factor includes cultural, structure, standards and regulation, logistics and infrastructure, human resource, HR policies. I'm just reading it out because these are project work authorization, marketplace conditions, stakeholder risk tolerance, commercial databases, PMIs. So we have seen these enterprise environmental factors in one of the initial sessions that are part of enterprise environmental factor. Those will be used. So we also know that project management plan, stakeholder register, enterprise environmental factor, and OPA, these are the input for of many of the plan knowledge area management processes. So OPA consists of standards and policies, organizational guidelines, work instructions, performance measurement criteria, organizational communication requirement, project closure requirement, financial control and procedure, issue and defect management process, change control procedure, risk control procedure, work authorization system, process measurement database, project file structure and organization and retention. Historical information and lesson learned is one of the important organization processes which is very useful. Issue and defect management databases, configuration management database, project financial database, etc. They become input to your plan communication management. These are just repeated. We have covered in initial session. Just a reminder, there is a huge list, but all that is used towards creating your communication management plan. So these are the tools and techniques that I would be talking about. The first one is communication requirement analysis. So communication requirement analysis, I think will be covered. Output, okay. Communication requirement analysis, in this what we do is, it is analysis of communication requirement that determines the information need of project stakeholders. So in here what we do, we know the project stakeholders. So what type and format of information needed with an analysis of value of that information. So these requirements are defined, and project resources should be expended only on communicating information that contributes to the success of the project, or where a lack of communication can lead to failure. So in these two situations, so this is analysis towards the kind of requirement from the stakeholders, and we have to ensure that we are essentially capturing the information which contributes to the success of the project, or a lack of that communication can lead to failure. So only those communication will be analyzed from, because you want to keep the cost minimum, communication cost minimum. So every communication that you are going to do will have cost associated in terms of gathering the information, analyzing it, then sending it, and the follow-up and so on. So you need to ensure that you need to analyze that communication requirement from the all stakeholders. Number of potential channels is n into n minus 1 divided by 2, where n is the number of stakeholders. So it includes you, it includes your team members, it includes customer, everything, everyone as a stakeholder that we discuss. We'll take this formula, you will have to remember, n into n minus 1 divided by 2. We'll take one example in subsequent slides. The point is, this is a simple formula, and at times you get question in PMP examination on this formula, that number of stakeholders are 10, then what is the number of potential channels, which is 45. So 10 into 9 divided by 2, basically 9 5s are 45. So those things, that it's very simple, and I don't want you to miss this formula for sure. Then communication technology. So there are various technologies that are available. So which technology will use? It depends on the factors that affect communication plan. So what is the urgency of information? What kind of technology we are going to use? What kind of project staffing we have? Project length we have? And project environment. So these are the all factors that affect the kind of communication technology we'll be using. So project environment is also an enterprise environmental factor. I mean, do you have email? Do you have other things that are requisite technology at your disposal? So let's say you want to conduct video conference, audio conference. Do you have that kind of technology available with your organization that will limit your what can you use in your communication plan. Communication model. So the key components of model. Communication model is essentially between two individuals who essentially one is who transmit the message, other is who receives the message. So between them, essentially encoding happens. So what happens is, let's say I am, let's take example of you folks as recipients and myself as a transmitter. So whatever I'm thinking, I need to encode in words, and that message I am transmitting to you, and essentially you need to feedback what you have understood. So how we do it, usually you will ask the questions, other way you're answering the question. So that is that time I get the feedback or message back. Okay, whatever I'm covering over here, that goes as message. Medium we are using is online, right? The kind of noise we have is, let's say, sometimes disconnection happen, that becomes a noise. Sometimes other types of noise may be available. Somebody getting disconnected, somebody getting distracted at their location could be a noise. So as a recipient, a receiver, you have to decode what I'm telling the message and understand, and then only you can feedback message. So we'll cover this communication. This is called basic communication model, and we'll cover that basic communication model in subsequent slide. Then we have communication method. The first one is interactive. So this can be face-to-face meeting, or maybe a meeting, voice conference, audio conference, or video conference. It will be interactive in the sense whenever you're presenting, you're communicating something, there may be questions asked, maybe so that way it is made interactive. Other form of communication is push communication. So in here, it depends on which kind of method you will use and what kind of, when you are just disseminating some information, you will use push or pull kind of methods, communication methods. But when you want immediate feedback, you want to ensure that it is very important communication you are doing and everybody understood, you will prefer interactive. So coming to push technology, so it depends on how many stakeholders are involved. So let's say you have a few tens or hundreds of stakeholders are involved, maybe few tens, 30, 40, 50. You may push the information using email, memo, or whatever the medium is there, but that is called as push communication. So in here, you're just sending email or mail or memo, other form towards the recipient. In here, you are not immediately expecting feedback, although it may be possible that somebody will reply and all that, but essentially this is information being pushed towards the recipient. In pull communication method, this is used when you have stakeholders to the tune of thousands of stakeholders, wherein let's say tens of thousands of stakeholders, wherein sending email to each and every one of them you will incur a lot of costs in terms of sending that messages, maybe using the system and man hours to push the message. So instead, what you do is put the good example of this is a lot of companies, when they declare their results, they declare their result online, and essentially the people who, the shareholders who are the stakeholders, they can go and download those financial reports from the company published. So that is called pull method, wherein information is shared on website. The credentials are given to the users, and they can always access that information with as and when it is being published to the various stakeholders. So in this, maybe information is very huge in nature. It's a little complex also. That time also pull communication method is preferred. The last one is meeting. I think we already are aware of this tool and technique. So what is the output? You have communication management plan. What are the components of communication? Srinidhi has a question which I'll answer immediately, because I think it is just about push versus pull technology. So push example I gave is email. Okay, difference between push and pull is you are pushing the information, that is you are sending email to the receivers. So as a project manager, you have a status report, you send it using email, that is you are pushing the information. In case of pull, you publish the data on the website. Now the stakeholders like shareholders, let's say there is a quarterly result that you published as your company is public limited, and your stakeholders are all shareholders who are lakh in number. Are you going to send to all those few pardon me, maybe few million shareholders, sending email to each and every one of them could be a cumbersome exercise because of the limitation of email equipment that you may have. So it's always better that you publish the date on your website, that this is the date on which you can access the so in here you are not pushing any information, whereas you are asking those people, shareholders, to come and visit your website and pull the information. So that is the difference between push and pull. I think the example should clarify it to you. Srinidhi, are you getting it? All right, great. So that is the communication methods we have. Meetings also we already have covered. Coming to communication management plan. In here, these are the components of communication management plan. You have stakeholder communication requirement, which of course is there. From stakeholder register you'll get it, or by meeting and talking to people you'll get it. Information to be communicated, including language, format, content, and level of default. Reason for distribution of that information, time frame and frequency of distribution, person responsible for communicating the information, person responsible for authorizing release of confidential information, person or group who will receive the information, methods or technology used to convey the information, resources allocated for communication activities including time and budget, escalation process, method for updating and refining communication management plan, glossary of common terminology, flowcharts of the information flow, and communication constraint. These all will be part of the communication plan. So if you take an exercise on communication planning, so how communication method could be formal written, formal verbal, informal written, informal verbal. So situation, updating project management plan, you will use formal written, presentation to management, formal verbal. So this is the exercise you do when you are doing the communication plan. Trying to solve a complex problem, formal written. So what happens is, when you, for every situation, you will have one communication method, which is combination of formal, informal, written or verbal, the fourth combination. Then you can always get the communication method formal written will be used for these situations: complex problem, project management plan, charter, communication, formal verbal, and so on. So this is individual to all those exercise communication plan. Okay. So I mean, this will be individual to all those projects that you're going to perform. So this is just one example of any project that will use this communication method for these kind of. So this is very generic in nature. Okay. So going on to the next process, which is manage communication. This is second process. We saw there are 3 processes. We are in second process. This is to create, collect, distribute, store, retrieve, and the ultimate disposition of project information. So what are the inputs? We have communication management plan coming from plan communication management process, work performance report, enterprise environmental factor, and organization processes. This is what we are going to communicate in your using these tools and techniques, out of which we already saw communication technology, communication method we have seen. So we'll talk about communication model. Basic communication model we are going to cover in subsequent slide. Information management system, this could be using mail, then maybe email, memo, and other manual as well as IT management system you can use for as a information management system tools. And performance reporting, whatever performance is gathered as a part of your work performance report. If you remember, work performance report is essentially formatting and putting the information collected in work performance information in appropriate format, in electronic format or hard copy, and this work performance report can be used to report the performance of the project to the appropriate stakeholders at appropriate time. So as per the requirement of stakeholder, there will be different requirement of stakeholders. Customer will have different requirement, team will have different requirement, and so we have to give the right information to the right stakeholders at right time with the right impact. So there are 3-4 rights before we actually do the project communication. So these are the output is essentially project communication happening to the various stakeholders, and project management plan gets updated, project document gets updated, organizational process asset gets updated as a part of managed communication. So communication methods, meetings, individuals as well as group. Individual could be one-on-one and group could be a team meeting. Video and audio conferences, if you have virtual teams, this works based. Computer charts can be used. So communication methods are broadly classified into either interactive the first one is interactive communication, meeting and individual group, push communication, and pull communication, which we already discussed. So this is a general model of communication or basic model of communication. This is essentially the interpersonal process of sending and receiving message. So I give you an example. I am a sender. I do think and encode in words, and I send you the message, whatever message I wanted to transmit through the medium. So in here you are over the internet, the voice is being sent to you as a message, and you as a receiver, you perceive, you understand, you decode whatever words being sent to you, whatever message being sent to you, you understand in your own words, and that's how the understanding happens. And as a part of feedback, you do your own thinking, and after thinking you encode. So you may be asking the questions, you may be saying that, this is what I understood as a part of feedback, which is coming back to me, and I will perceive and understand and decode the feedback that you have provided. This completes the communication. So feedback is very important part of communication, and essentially it is the responsibility of the sender. I mean, the receiver has to participate, but as a sender, you need to make sure that the things are understood. And noise and filter could be in terms of you getting disturbed due to various events that are happening at your place, or some time back Sandeep was disconnected because connection getting disconnected, and those become noise or filter for you. Okay, so I think that gives you the general idea, general model of communication or basic model of communication. So it is an interpersonal process between two people, and that's how you have to understand how sending and receiving message happens. Right. So control communication, it is to monitor and control communication throughout the entire project life cycle. What we are going to control communication: project management plan, project communication, issue log, work performance data. So project communication, so we have project management plan, we'll have the essentially communication management plan, and work performance data, where the project communication happen as per the will be the part of your work performance data. So information management system, expert judgment meeting, I need not discuss about this. So what you get is work performance information. So essentially, is the project communication happening as per the communication management plan inside your project management plan? So that gives you work performance information with respect to the controlling communication or communication that happened for the project towards stakeholders. If there is significant lapses in that, there may be a change request towards the communication that needs to happen for the project. So let's say some stakeholder is not there due to some other mistake or misunderstanding, you may get a change request and you may start adding him or sending him the project communication or project report as a part of that change request, which may consume, again this goes to perform integrated change control as usual, and so on. So as a part of it, control communication, we get project management plan update, project document update, organizational process asset update. So if you have an issue log, so issue log is also is with respect to the personal issues that may happen, conflict may happen between your team members, between team member and a customer, team member or management, or you and someone else. So those will be part of your issue log. So those will be essentially either communicated as resolution with work performance information, or they may generate a change request if they are not resolved in time. And project management plan updates anyways, project communication management plan update, then project document update. So issue log will be updated as per whatever tools and technique you have used and whatever output you got as a part of change request or work performance information. So those updates, whether issue is resolved or not resolved, and all that will happen. So that concludes, quickly concludes rather, control communication. Okay, so as a part of organizational process asset updates, what get updated: lessons learned document, project records, project reports, project presentation, feedback from stakeholders, stakeholder notification gets